What's up, everybody? Marvel the Cross 316 back with another comic book flashback. Today we are looking at Daredevil issue number 10. This issue came out in October of 1965, and today we are going to see the first appearance of the organization. These have to be probably Daredevil's weirdest foes he's ever fought. I mean, just look at some of these characters that you see on the front of this cover here. So we're going to be looking at the first appearance of the organization. Who are they? We're going to go into all of this as we continue this series, as we get into issue number 10 now. Today's title is While the City Sleeps. And so one thing we need to note before we get started with this issue is that Wally Wood, who is the artist, the known artist for these first issues of Daredevil, is also going to write this issue as well. So not only is he drawing this issue, not only is he illustrating this issue and inking it, he's also writing the issue. Stan Lee wanted a break, and so Wally just had the itch to draw. So that's what we're going to see here in this issue. So let's go ahead now and get started. As always, this is brought to you by, like I said, Stan Lee, who did the editing, of course. We have Bob Powell. We have Wally Wood, like I said, script and art, and then Artie Simek on the lettering page. Let's go ahead and get started then. We start the issue off here. We have this helicopter, and they're at this prison here. This helicopter is hovering over this prison. These guards are looking at it, and this helicopter, very strange. And what we see at the very get-go is that this helicopter drops a, looks like a blackout bomb. The blackout bomb is successful, and it drifts down to the prison courtyard here, and it just blacks out the entire compound. And this is where we are going to meet one of the members of the organization, Catman. Yes, Catman. Don't be fooled here. This is in fact Catman, and yes, he is a man dressed in a cat suit. But I mean, this is the 1960s, so we're going to be introduced to some kooky characters here. So we see here that there is a jailbreak here upon the blackout as the cell doors are unlocked, and we see that the Catman is answering via radio control here, remote control, to his boss. And the main reason the Catman has come to this prison is to break Monk Kiefer from his prison. And Monk Kiefer will turn out to be another member of, I guess, what we call the organization here. And so that was the main plan. We see that the cops then are going to come and gather up the people that tried to escape here, and we learn that Monk Keith has broken free from prison here. And one person that is watching this from home is this guy named, um, what we see here, his name is Frog LeBlanc. And we see that while Frog LeBlanc is looking at the TV, there is this person that pops up over his television screen, and this will be the main leader, the ringleader of this organization. And we don't even know who he is. We don't know who's under the mask or anything, but he's going to recruit LeBlanc here. And if you look at LeBlanc's features, you can tell that he looks like a frog. We also see that this organizer is also going to recruit another person, Henry Hawk. And if you look at his last name, you can tell what powers he will possess. So as the organizer collects all these people, he recruits them all. His biggest plan is basically to commit the biggest crime scheme in all of Manhattan, New York. And he gives all these people their new costumes here, as we see here. We're going to be introduced to Frogman, Catman, Ape Man, and then Hawkman. And all four of these guys are going to do the bidding of this guy in this purple hood here. And so when the heck are we going to see Daredevil, and how does he fit into all this? We're going to soon find out as we see that the organization, the full formed organization now, are all going to be sent on their own missions here to commit these big crimes, as we see that Catman is up above as a cat would do, Ape-Man has his big strength. So Catman with the agility, Ape-Man with his strength. We see that Hawkman has his own ability to fly, and then Frogman is going to cut the cords of so that he can black out the entire city. So there's a huge crime wave hitting the city, and we see that Matt Murdock and Karen Page are going to find out about this. But while they're talking about this, we see that their big buddy Foggy Nelson is going to come in, and he's all in a chipper mood, as we look like he is going to actually be invited to this reform party because he's offered a nomination to become the next DA. And we see that he wants Karen Page to be there, but he still has a little bit of things going on with Matt Murdock, as we recall from last issue, how he's kind of jealous at Matt Murdock. But he's like, you can come too, Matt, if you want. So we see that Matt Murdock and Karen Page are going to accompany Foggy Nelson on this boat here, this big yacht party. And we see that he's going to come across the Reform Party, all of these people. And this is going to be the reason why Wally Wood wrote this is because it's going to be like a mystery issue in a sort. So we see that Matt Murdock gets to know everybody. We see that Foggy Nelson is then going to meet one of his childhood sweethearts, Deborah Harris. And we see that Karen Page actually looks like she's kind of jealous at all the attention that Deborah is giving Foggy Nelson. So that's going to be interesting here. And we notice that um, Matt Murdock is going to notice that as well. And so he's trying to figure out all this, and he can sense danger on the rise here. And all of a sudden, as Matt Murdock's radar senses are going off, he notices that the Frogman is on the prowl, and he's going to try to assassinate somebody. And we see that Matt Murdock tries to cause a distraction here. He dives into the ocean here, and he's going to change to Daredevil. I don't know how he did it so quickly. And we see that he's going to try to tackle Frogman here. And Frogman is just like a natural frog. He's so slippery and cunning here and agile. And then Frogman throws a bomb right at Daredevil. So Frogman was able to get away in time of not being able to be defeated by Daredevil. Daredevil then sneaks back on the yacht here, and we see that Frogman is then going to go back to his underwater tunnel waterfront here, the base of the organization, and a lot of detail drawn right here by Wally Wood. Pretty awesome stuff, I have to say. And so we see that the Frogman reports to the organizer that he ran right into Daredevil, but it looks like the organizer doesn't care, as his plans are still going to come into fruition here. He sends the Hawkman next, and Hawkman is going to try to steal the Reform Party's campaign money, and Daredevil then is going to try to stop him, and Daredevil is successful in stopping the Hawkman, and Hawkman soon gets away here, as we see right here. And while Daredevil is able to stop the Hawkman, we see that he's going to try to go back to his office as Matt Murdock to check on Foggy Nelson, and Foggy Nelson is just stinking in love at this point with Deborah. Hawkman reports back to the organizer, but he says, all right, Daredevil's gotten into our business far too long. It's now time to stop him. And so the very next day, as we see here, Daredevil is on the prowl, and we see that he's alerted to go to this bank. So he goes to this bank vault, and upon going into the vault and unlocking the vault, he comes across Catman once again, this time the Catman. And the Catman uses his odorless gas to knock out Daredevil. And so then the organization members are able to pretty much steal any priceless gems or money and get away. And so now Daredevil looks like a menace here, as he is then seen leaving the vault, this empty vault, and the police are now after Daredevil, and they're like, how could Daredevil do this? So now Daredevil is wanted for robbery. So this is not looking good. Now Daredevil is going to have to dodge the cops here. Why in the world is the organizer trying his best to stop this reform party? That's the main thing that we got to focus on in this issue. Daredevil then comes across more goons from the organizer, and he wasn't expected to show up here, and he pretty much stops these guys, and the police gathers them up. The next day at the office, we see that Foggy Nelson is just so elated with being with Deborah here, and he wants Karen Page to accompany him once again to this latest poll party here. And she's like, man, I hope that Matt Murdock will show up at this time. So they're going to go to this new party now, and we see that the organizer is gathering his men, and they're going to strike once again at this party, at this election party. And we see here, while at the party, Hawkman is going to try to strike here, but Daredevil is now learned that where this reform party is, the organization is not too far. We see that Catman then sneaks up and then takes Deborah and holds her hostage here. So that's not good. We see that Daredevil then tackles the Catman, takes him down here, as we're going to see. He puts up a good fight, but Catman is then knocked out by a karate chop. And so now Catman is then taken into police custody, and we see that they learn that Deborah has been held hostage. But when we get back, we look like Deborah is just all fine and nice here. We learn here that Deborah is actually a part of the organization. So things are starting to unravel here. We see that Catman is then going to be questioned here, and he almost reveals everything about the organization until the Ape-Man shows up. And so now Daredevil is going to have to fight the Ape-Man here, as we see right here. Ape-Man tries his best to get Daredevil to go away, but now Daredevil is on the chase of the Ape-Man, and then Ape-Man is going to land on his feet to tackle Daredevil. Daredevil is then slung right into this glass window. I mean, super strength by the Ape-Man here. And we learn, as Daredevil sees, he learns that Deborah is a part of the organization, and he calls this guy in the purple hood the boss. And now, as Daredevil is listening in, we see that the Hawkman is swooping down to attack Daredevil, and that's how we end this issue. So we leave on a cliffhanger here. What's going to happen next issue as Stan Lee picks up the next issue and writes it? We're going to find all this out as we look at issue number 11. I hope to see you there, and until next time, keep reading comics.